Welcome everyone! Today we have an updated version of the Lich Summoner for Season 2 of Path of Exile 2. Now looking behind me, the damage is pretty fast, right? So this is the Act 4 boss in the story mode, and here I'm equally matched or even under level against the boss, but we're doing a lot of damage. So that was the first phase. Let's have a look at the second phase. We're doing really good damage, and also we're quite durable. So during the demonstration of the camera replay, I have not swapped into Mind over Matter, but later on I'll show you guys the adjustment once you want to swap into Mind over Matter for even more durability once you have the breakpoint for your mana for the Lich Summoner. So again, let's fast forward a little bit because that was the unkillable phase for the boss. So fast forwarding a little bit to see our damage numbers against the boss. This particular build packs a lot of damage. So this is definitely one of the fastest early to mid game leveling build, and this can be very powerful even in the late game. And there we go. That was the damage against the Act 4 boss. So fast forwarding a little bit to Act 5 over here. So this is one of the unique bosses that's in the game, and you can see our damage numbers really do rank up. And yes, I was getting a little squishy, and this is one of the reasons I swapped to Mind over Matter after going through the threshold for mana generation. So the boss almost one-shotted me, but you can see that within the few seconds of boss getting staggered, we're able to take down the boss. Now, to show you guys a little further, I have just swapped over to Mind over Matter. I'm still in the mix of upgrading my gears for this particular setup. But you can see, after having Mind over Matter, I can directly face tank monsters who are level 54, I believe, and I was level 52, so I'm a little under level in this map, but I can face tank pretty much everything. And yes, I can still use my mana potions, but most of the time, as my minions slay the monsters, I will recover a lot of mana very fast. And on the other times, if I do run low on mana, I can still use my mana potion. I have also added a bit of mobility for this build, so this way we can be charging around with shield charge, and the build itself is quite durable and has some of the highest damage scaling in the game as we build towards higher mana. Now in terms of the build, it is gonna be very interesting as I keep leveling and also keep testing the build for the later game. I'm also looking for a stronger Spectre. I have collected over 15 Spectres so far, but I'm still looking for some of the best ones to support my team. So the demonstration over here, you can see that pretty much now within the content of level 50 plus, I have stopped dying and I am doing a lot of damage one-shotting everything on the map. And the mobility is not bad. Even though I'm not running the fastest, I can be charging a lot faster. Now, if you guys have been following my builder's guide over here on Mobilitics, the league starter is still similar. I'll be adjusting the skill trees a little bit because on the middle leveling for level 30 to level 50, I have adjusted a little bit. And then finally to the later games, I will also be making adjustments. So make sure you check out those two tabs from the mid game to the late game. Now, coming over to my character, it is probably easier if we have a look at this way. One of the first things you want to notice is I have perked to Mind over Matter, and this particular perk will reduce all mana regeneration by 50%. Now this combined with this particular perk over here to lose 5% of maximum mana per second, this means you have to hit a mana generation breakpoint so you stop losing mana. If you do not have enough mana generation, you will constantly to be losing mana during the fights. You want to at least break even. I'll show you guys the numbers, how to calculate the break even over here, and you can see this is for my current character. So starting with one step at a time. Let's come over to the skill trees and let me show you guys my current build. Now, if you guys are a little short on mana, what I recommend is you can also have some auras over here. Having clarity will give you even better mana regeneration. And over here, you can see my mana regeneration is even higher, even with Mind over Matter. But without clarity, it goes up by about 3 mana regen. So everything helps if you're trying to get yourself to go through the breakpoint. So coming over to my units, and over here I am running my Skeleton Warriors, which comes for free. I do have some Spear Spirits, so I decided to put in the extra one. If you don't have it, just 2 is enough. I'm running Blind, Mid Shield, and also Sacrificial Lamb. Sacrificial Lamb is one of the new supporting skills which allows me to be always sacrificing the Skeleton Warriors even when I'm pressing on the Skeleton Arsonist, which maintains the highest damage for the team. Now in terms of mobility, I am going with Shield Charge. This can also be combined with Ingenuity for lower cooldowns. So you can see I'll be charging around, and even though I am moving a little slower, I'm actually charging pretty fast across the map, and this does help. I can even add Blinking, but at this moment, I don't think I need a Blink. In terms of Flame War, nothing has really changed. We're going with highest ranking of Flame War with Arcane Tempo and also Fortress. In terms of Skeleton Arsonist, first thing you noticed, I have gotten 4 sockets for my Skeleton Arsonist. And no guys, I did not buy a Greater Jeweler Sword. So what I did was, in the previous videos we have talked about this, I pretty much found a 3-socketed gem using a lesser jeweler, then I corrupted multiple gems to get this one. It takes around 6 to 7 attempts if you're unlucky for average luck. If you're lucky, within 3 attempts of valving those gems can give you extra socket. So what I mean by that is you can valve those corruptions and have a chance of getting 1 more socket. Now, for those of you that don't want to try your luck, I do have a tab open that is over here. You can buy the readily valved 4-socket Skeleton Arsonist for quite cheap. So this is a huge discovery because you can see that if you click this, this will filter by the sockets. Oh, this was selling for 2 divine. I definitely don't want that. So notice over here, people are selling those 4-socket corrupted ones for about 2 to 3 exalt. And you can buy those, and this will give you a massive damage boost. This is not going to be a super good late game item, but this will help you get through the story with 4 sockets and make sure you have the right level over here. You can only level up because of this. Now in terms of the socketing for Skeleton Arsonist, we have Scattershot, Fire Infusion, Martial Tempo, and also Feeding Frenzy. I'll be updating the builder's guide accordingly to the latest changes. Now in terms of the Raging Flame Spirit, or the Raging Spirits, I have adjusted them towards for more utility and also support because they only have 3 sockets. Previously they were doing more damage with the Minion Instability and also Infernal Legion. So you can see my previous gems over here. So at the moment, with my Raging Flame Spirits, they have Fire Exposure with Strip Away for even stronger exposure, and also Infernal Legion, so they always igniting enemies. In terms of the curses, we have Flammability, which is added by Heightened Curse, and finally we have Pain Offering together with Persistence and also Obligation. I can add 1 more socketing later, but at the moment I didn't feel the need for this. Now coming over to the skill passive tree, and yes, I have made some adjustments. So what I'll do is I'm gonna move my head over here so you guys can see better. On the second ascension, the first ascension I went over here for the Unholy Strength. The second ascension I went over here so I can get additional sockets for 100% increase of the effect. Over here the effect I wanted is a 2% mana on kill, the minion damage and also mana regeneration are really good. I didn't hit the final one, which is a little unlucky. So in terms of the pathing, I passed directly upwards and then towards the set first, and then coming over here for the reservation reduction. After that, getting your weather on hit is a massive damage boost for your KS damage boost. After this, as you path along over here for additional socket, you can see all of my socket juice have 2% mana on kill, which is going to be important for a combination with my unique gloves. So at this moment, you do not perk into Mind Over Matter. I'll explain. Because if you do not have enough mana regen, what's going to happen is, if you don't have enough mana regen, you will start to lose mana. Actually, I have too much mana regen. I'm still pretty stable. So if you do not have enough mana regen, and because of the passive, you lose 5% mana per second. And as I path along on the passive tree, I came over here for additional damage and also additional stats, over here for additional socketing, and here for there's a more generation of mana and also mana recouping. Now I wouldn't say this is gonna be the final version of the passive tree. I'm still testing. I do plan to come over here for more mana regen and also more mana recoup, and then coming over here for additional mana regen. And over here we also have ways of getting even higher maximum mana, and I'll update you guys on this one. So what do I mean by the breakpoint of mana regen is over here. So if you guys have a look at my current mana regen, I'm sitting on 23.8%, or 23.8 mana per second. So if you look at my maximum mana, it is 430. And what that means is every second I'm losing 5% mana per second. So one of the reasons my mana regen is a little lower is because of the 50% mana recovery reduction with Mind Over Matter. So before you pick this point, or when you pick this point, if you realize standing still, you're losing mana, that is not good. You want to have high enough mana regen so that while active or while standing still, not fighting, you're not constantly losing mana. And in the fights, you'll be recovering a lot of mana because you're staying monsters and you're stacking those particular gems. So as a quick calculation, if you come over here to this calculation, I pretty much put my maximum mana times by 5% or 0.05. And this will give you the amount of mana regen I needed before coming over to Mind Over Matter. If suddenly I have 500 mana, this means I now need 25 mana regen so I can hit the breakpoint so I don't constantly lose mana. It might not seem to be a big deal, but if you're constantly losing mana, the fight gets much harder, even though you're using mana potions. So that said, this is one of the reasons I'm having mana regen over here and trying to get more mana regens on the passive tree to hit a few breakpoints. Now this gets a little interesting as I balance my maximum mana for even higher magnitude in the future, but we'll be testing this a little further. Now in terms of getting my mana regen, one of the ways to get it is because of those unique gloves. And if you have seen the previous videos, I'm sure you guys know about this. So what has changed with my current build? Previously I had this particular scepter and this was running with Malice together with Clarity for even better mana regen. After acquiring those particular scepter just now, after buying this one with most of my currency, I have not gotten time to craft this one and make this one stronger. But having the ability to have additional skeleton warriors seems to be really helpful. Now, in terms of the rest of gears, nothing has really changed. You can see +2 over here for the minion skills, and yes, I did switch into a helmet that has more maximum life to become even more durable. A bit of maximum mana will help. So +2 over here for the minion skills, additional life, additional mana, and also any stats can also help. In terms of the rings, you want to find mana regeneration if you can to get with all resistance, maximum life, and also additional ways of getting more stats can also help. So here I also have 16% life per enemy killed, which is also really good. In terms of this ring, this is just here for the stat boost. I have a few of the rings over here to compare, and I haven't had time to min and max those rings. In terms of the build, it is not a must-have at the moment. It was just cheap to have this build, and the mana recoup can be stacked a lot of times. You can stack mana recoup over here, mana recoup over here, and also 50% damage taking recoup as mana. This is only helpful against the boss, because bosses, most of them don't summon. If they summon, you have no problems by killing little minions with those gems and those gloves. If the boss does not summon, having mana recoup will give you more survivability. But we can change this one for a rare belt as well. Finally, having those boots will give you even more summons. And currently, I am sitting on, how many summons? 9 skeleton arsenals, and my current spirit is close to 300. And later on, there's another 40 permanent spirit. If you guys are not sure, I'm sure most of you do know, there is a maximum guide about where to find your permanent stats, and you should be finding those permanent stats, especially spirit and also skill passives, to make yourself stronger. Now this should summarize pretty much everything for the build for the second day of the second season. In terms of the health potion and also mana potion, not much of difference. You just want additional amount, additional charges, or anything that provides you with more recovery. And in terms of the charms, just min and max your resistance. Notice I'm trying to balance all the resistance over here. And a small tip of advice, if you can get the items, the gears socketed, you can then socket into additional resistance. Those additional 5% aura resist so-called are selling for 1 exalt, while those ruins, they're pretty much super cheap. You can find those everywhere for the 10%, and you can even find the 12% ones over here. So this is a 12% fire resist ruin. And yes, I did forget to mention, in the previous video, I used unique shield. But later on, if you compare the stats, having a rare shield gives you more survivability, more stats, and also even higher resist. So what I do now is, same as most of the videos, I'll show you guys a demonstration as I fight different bosses in Act 4 and also in Act 5. Now keep in mind, during the boss fight, I did not get to Mind Over Matter because I didn't get to the Mana Regeneration breakpoint of 23 for me. But once I got to the breakpoint, I just tested the build, it works perfectly, and even though you can see in the fight sometimes my mana drops dramatically, but with 1 mana potion or with killing 1 or 2 monsters, the mana recovery is really good for survivability, and I can be the tank for my entire Skeleton Arsonist team. And because I'm so tanky, this is one of the reasons I have decided to not go for additional minion life, not go for additional minion revive, and not going for additional minion revive. So if they die, it's okay, but as long as they are alive, the skeleton minions are the glass cannon, while my main character is going to be the tank with mind over matter and also lots of mana regen. So now, before we finish and before we go to the replays, my plans for the future. I do plan to have at least 1000 mana or even 2000 mana in the future, and this will give me even higher magnitude of Unholy Might. The only downside is I have to find a way to get the breakpoint so I don't lose too much mana constantly. And if I can balance that, this build can scale a lot further into the late game. Now hopefully you guys found today's video helpful. Again, a big thank you to everyone on YouTube, especially our supporters and also those of you guys who's been supporting me on Patreon as well. And we do have a new feature on the Mattjestic YouTube channel. If you click onto this, you can become a member. Yes, I've added this just recently, and this will allow you to have early access to videos that is posted a few hours or even half a day earlier if you want to watch those videos a little early. But yes, this will cost money. So please be aware the membership will cost money. And if you do want to watch videos normally, those videos will still be available after 6 to 12 hours, normally on the time we post those videos. And I'll be aiming to post at least 1 Path of Exile video a day, and this will be including guides, tips, news update, and also the latest tricks that is discovered on both the English and also Chinese community to keep you guys updated. And if you like those videos, make sure you leave a nice comment and also leave a like for those videos.
Not if I take yours first.
First one's high. Run, little rabbit. Human frost. You are hunted. Fang, tooth, and claw. Tortured under the moon. The pack suffered but endured. And howled now in tune. No tales were told. None new, none old. And their endless hunger grew ever stronger. Solstice of pain. Freezing gale. I smell your blood. And slow down. Run! For the thing!
Now before we finish, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on our official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is gonna be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.